Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to explore the fascinating history and hidden value of four amazing dimes from the United States Mint. The 1967 one dime, the 1976 one dime, the 1984 P1 dime, and the 1999 P1 dime. Each of these small coins carries a story of American history, minting technology, and collector's passion. So, let's begin this incredible journey into the world of American dimes. The 1967 one dime coin from the United States is an important and interesting piece in the history of American coinage, representing a transitional period when the nation was moving away from using silver in its circulating coins. The dime, with a face value of 10 cents, is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 and continues to the present day. The 1967 issue is particularly notable for its context in the aftermath of the coinage changes of the mid-1960s, and for being one of the few U.S. coins without a mint mark from that era, a detail that collectors find intriguing. In 1967, the United States Mint produced dimes under the authority of the Coinage Act of 1965, which was enacted in response to a severe nationwide coin shortage and rising silver prices. Prior to 1965, dimes were struck in an alloy containing 90% silver and 10% copper. However, as the value of silver rose, the intrinsic metal value of these coins began to approach and sometimes exceed their face value, causing widespread hoarding of coins by the public. To address the shortage and stabilize the coin supply, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters and introduced a new clad composition consisting of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The 1967 dime, like its immediate predecessors from 1965 and 1966, was made entirely of this copper-nickel clad composition, which remains a standard for dimes today. The obverse side of the 1967 dime features a left-facing portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint. Sinek created this design in 1946 to commemorate Roosevelt following his death in 1945. Roosevelt was chosen for the dime because of his strong association with the March of Dimes, a foundation he helped inspire to combat polio. The obverse includes the inscriptions Liberty on the left edge, the motto In God We Trust beneath the chin of Roosevelt, and the date 1967 on the right side. Beneath the truncation of Roosevelt's neck is the small monogram JS, the designer's initials. The reverse of the coin carries a design that is rich in symbolism. At its center is a torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. The olive branch represents peace, while the oak branch symbolizes strength and independence. Surrounding these motifs are the inscriptions, United States of America at the top and one dime at the bottom. The motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many one, is inscribed horizontally across the middle of the coin, reflecting the unity of the nation. The design of the 1967 dime is clean, balanced, and timeless, and has endured with only minor modifications over decades of production. Unlike most U.S. coins, the 1967 dime bears no mint mark, regardless of where it was produced. This was due to the temporary suspension of mint marks between 1965 and 1967. The U.S. Mint removed mint marks during these years to discourage collectors from hoarding coins based on where they were struck, which had contributed to the nationwide coin shortage. Therefore, all 1967 dimes appear without a mint mark, making it impossible to distinguish those made at the Philadelphia Mint from those struck at Denver or San Francisco. However, the majority of 1967 dimes were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, while the San Francisco Mint primarily produced special mint sets, SMS, rather than regular circulation coins. In terms of appearance, circulated examples of the 1967 dime typically display the silver-gray color characteristic of copper-nickel coins, with higher points, such as Roosevelt's cheek hair and jawline showing the first signs of wear. Uncirculated examples may display a bright, satiny luster, while those from special mint sets have a more refined and mirror-like or satin finish, depending on preservation. Because billions of these coins were made, most 1967 dimes have little to no premium above face value, except in exceptional conditions or for coins exhibiting striking errors. Grades. Special mint set coins in pristine condition can command a small premium, particularly those that exhibit cameo or deep cameo contrast between frosted design elements and mirrored fields. Collectors often seek out SMS examples with sharp strikes and strong eye appeal, as high-grade specimens can be challenging to find due to handling and packaging marks. Over time, the 1967 dime has come to symbolize the resilience and adaptation of U.S. coinage in the face of economic pressures. It represents a turning point in American numismatic history, when practicality and cost efficiency took precedence over the intrinsic value of coin metals. This change allowed the mint to stabilize the national coin supply and maintain public confidence in circulating money, even as the composition of coins evolved from precious to base metals. The decision to remove silver from circulation, though controversial at first, ultimately proved successful, as the copper-nickel-clad coins demonstrated excellent durability and remained in widespread use for decades. For modern collectors, the 1967 dime may not seem rare or valuable in the traditional sense, but occupies a unique place in the broader narrative of U.S. coinage. It bridges the gap between the silver dimes of the past and the clad dimes that followed, encapsulating a moment of transition and adaptation in American monetary history. The coin's design, still unchanged since 1946, continues to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy and the ideals of liberty, unity, and strength. Even though it lacks silver content, the 1967 dime remains a tangible reminder of an era when the United States government made decisive changes to preserve the nation's coinage system in the face of economic challenge. While billions of 1,967 dimes remain in existence, finding a pristine example with original mint luster can still be a rewarding challenge. Collectors often look for well-struck specimens with minimal contact marks, full details in Roosevelt's hair, and strong definition in the reverse torch and branches. The best examples, particularly from the special mint set, can achieve high grades from professional coin grading services and attract interest for their aesthetic quality rather than rarity. In the broader context of numismatics, the 1967 dime exemplifies how even the most common coins can tell a story of technological progress, political decisions, and changing economic realities. Its creation marked the full acceptance of clad coinage in the American economy, and its success helped pave the way for continued use of non-silver compositions in nearly all circulating U.S. coins. Though small in size and modest in value, the 1967 one dime coin embodies an enduring chapter in the history of American money, linking the ideals of the past with the practical realities of the modern era. Next 1976 one dime coin holds a special place in American numismatic history, as it represents not only the continuation of a long-running design, but also the spirit of the United States bicentennial era. Though the dime itself did not feature a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half dollar, or dollar coins in 1976, it still stands as a part of the significant period that celebrated 200 years of American independence. The 1976 Roosevelt dime continues a design that first appeared in 1946, commemorating Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who played a pivotal role in guiding the nation to the Great Depression and World War II. The dime was first issued just 1 year after his death, and it was chosen as a tribute to him because of his strong association with the March of Dimes, an organization dedicated to combating polio. The 1976 dime, therefore, carries a deep historical and emotional significance that links modern America to one of its most transformative leaders. On the obverse side of the 1976 Roosevelt dime, you'll find a profile portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left. This portrait, designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at that time, has remained largely unchanged since its introduction. Sinek's initial JS appeared just below Roosevelt's neck truncation, a detail that has long been part of the coin's tradition. The word liberty appears along the left edge of the coin, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," is placed horizontally below Roosevelt's chin. The year 1976 is inscribed at the bottom right, marking it as part of the bicentennial year. To the right of the date is the mint mark, which can be D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Each mint produces dimes in different quantities, and collectors often pay close attention to mint marks, as they affect rarity and value. On the reverse side of the 1976 dime, the design continues the standard Roosevelt dime layout, also by John R. Sinek. The center of the reverse shows a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. Used in 1965. The outer layers are made of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition replaced the 90% silver dimes that were minted before 1965 due to the rising cost of silver. As a result, the 1976 dime does not contain any silver, except for special collector's editions that might have been included in special silver proof sets from earlier years. The clad composition gives a coin a silvery appearance while being economically efficient for mass production. Each coin weighs approximately 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 118 ridges. These physical features make the coin easy to identify and difficult to counterfeit. Even though the 1976 dime is common, there are some varieties and errors that make certain coins more valuable to collectors. For example, some 1976 dimes might have die errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or missing elements like the mint mark. Such errors are rare and highly sought after by numismatists. For instance, a 1976 dime with grading services like PGS or NGC can sell for much more than their face value. In circulated condition, most 1976 Roosevelt dimes are worth only their face value of 10 cents because they were produced in very large numbers and do not contain silver. However, uncirculated coins in pristine condition, especially those graded MS-67 or higher, can be currency during the grand celebration of 200 years of freedom. Many collectors include it in their bicentennial collections as a reminder of that momentous year in American history. The dime's design, enduring since 1946, represents continuity and stability, qualities that were deeply valued during the mid-1970s as the nation recovered from social and political challenges, such as the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. From a numismatic perspective, the 1976 Roosevelt dime also serves as an example of the U.S. Mint's technological consistency. By the 1970s, coin production had design underscores its popularity and the respect it commands as a national symbol. For many Americans, the 1976 dime is more than just a piece of metal. It is a reminder of the country's enduring values and history. In daily transactions, people often overlook the small dime, yet it holds a significant place in U.S. culture. Its compact size and elegant design make it one of the most recognizable coins in the world. The image of Roosevelt on the coin not only honors a great leader, but also symbolizes compassion, leadership, and unity. The dime's association with the March of Dimes continues to link it to charitable efforts that improve public health and welfare, keeping Roosevelt's legacy alive. Collectors often preserve 1,976 dimes in albums, rolls, or protective holders, ensuring that the coins remain in excellent condition for future generations. Some collectors specialize in Roosevelt dimes, assembling complete date and mint mark sets from 1946 to the present day. The 1976 issue, being part of the bicentennial year, holds a unique sentimental value, even though it is not rare. It bridges the early post-war era of American coinage with the modern era, reflecting both tradition and progress. Its simplicity, symbolism, and historical context make an integral part of any American coin collection. In conclusion, the 1976 one-dime coin, while not rare or composed of precious metal, carries rich historical meaning. It represents the enduring legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the progress of American coinage technology, and the spirit of unity during the bicentennial year. Each detail, from the fine engraving of Roosevelt's profile to the balanced symbolism of the torch and branches, tells a story of America's journey. For collectors and historians alike, the 1976 dime is a small yet powerful emblem of resilience, remembrance, and national pride, though millions were minted and many still circulate today. Each dime connects its holder to a chapter of history that celebrates both the man it honors and the nation it represents. At this time, the U.S. Mint operated with advanced machinery that used high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute. The die pressure and alignment were carefully maintained to ensure consistent quality, and most 1976 dimes have sharp, well-defined details. However, due to the sheer volume of coins minted, occasional die wear or mechanical doubling occurred, creating minor varieties that are still collected today. A few examples show faint doubling on the lettering, "In God We Trust," or the torch on the reverse. These are not true double die errors, but rather mechanical effects of the minting process. Yet they intrigue collectors who enjoy searching pocket change for unique varieties. These dies were periodically refurbished and replaced when worn out. This means that slight design variations in relief, rim thickness, or spacing of letters can appear among different batches. For example, some 1976 dimes from Denver have a slightly thicker mint mark D, while others show a more delicate, lightly struck mark. Such small differences are called die varieties and are documented by advanced collectors who catalog these subtle traits to distinguish between specific die pairs. These distinctions are not errors, but natural results of mass production over time. The 1984 P. Roosevelt dime is one of the interesting and collectible coins in the United States series of 10-cent pieces, and it carries both historical and numismatic value. The coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint in the year 1984, which is why it bears a P mint mark on the obverse side, located just above the date. The Roosevelt dime series itself began in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away in 1945. The coin was designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at that time, and it replaced a mercury dime that had been in circulation since 1916. The 1984 P dime continues that long tradition of representing American history, values, and design excellence. Even though billions of Roosevelt dimes have been produced, each year's issue, including the 1984 P, has its own story, striking characteristics, vintage figures, errors, and collector interest. The 1984 P Roosevelt dime was struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition, which was standard for circulating dimes after 1965, when the mint stopped using 90% silver. The outer layers of the coin are made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This composition gives the dime its familiar silver-like appearance, while keeping production costs low. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.9 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge with 118 tiny ridges. These specifications are consistent with all modern dimes and were established to prevent counterfeiting and the shaving of precious metal back when coins were made of silver. The obverse of the 1984 P dime features a left-facing portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, symbolizing leadership, unity, and the spirit of recovery that he brought to the United States during the Great Depression and World War II. The word liberty appears to the left of his profile. The motto, "In God We Trust," is placed just below his chin, and the year 1984 is found at the bottom right. Above the date is the letter P, the mint mark representing the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse side of the coin presents a torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. These elements represent liberty, peace, and strength respectively. The Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, runs horizontally across the center of the design. The name, United States of America, is arched along the upper edge, while one dime appears below, identifying the denomination. This design remains largely unchanged since its introduction in 1946, a testament to its enduring symbolism and aesthetic balance. In 1984, the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 941,070,000 Roosevelt dimes, making it a very high mintage year. Because of this massive production, most 1984 P dimes were made for circulation, and they remain common in pocket change even today. Circulated examples typically hold only face value, meaning they are worth 10 cents, but uncirculated or high-grade coins can be of interest to collectors. The value of a 1984 P dime depends greatly on its condition. In average circulated condition, it's worth its face value, but in mint state condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, the coin may sell for $1 to several dollars. Exceptionally high-grade examples with full bands on the torch, a sign of strong detail striking, can be worth more, sometimes reaching $20 or more depending on market demand. Collectors often seek the 1984 P dime for its role in completing Roosevelt dime sets, especially those who collect by date and mint mark. The Philadelphia issue of 1984 is usually easy to obtain, but finding perfectly struck, pristine examples without scratches, bag marks, or dull luster can be a real challenge. In particular, coins with strong definition of the torch lines, known as full bands or full torch designations, are quite scarce and command premium prices. Like other modern dimes, the 1984p can also exhibit a variety of mint errors and die varieties, which increase its interest and sometimes its value. Some of the notable errors known for this year include off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, double dies, and missing clad layers. A double die obverse, where the lettering or date appears doubled, or a coin missing part of its clad layer, exposing the reddish copper core underneath, can attract collectors and sell for significantly more than face value. Off-center strikes that still show the full date and mint mark can also be desirable. These errors happen when the planchette blank coin is misaligned during the striking process or when the die has slight misconfigurations. From a historical perspective, the 1984 dime reflects the continued strength of U.S. coinage production during the 1980s. The Philadelphia Mint was producing billions of coins annually, and the economy was thriving during the dime series is not particularly rare in most years. But each issue offers insight into minting technology, metal composition changes, and design consistency. When viewed under magnification, one can often appreciate the fine details of the 1984p dime's engraving, such as Roosevelt's hair texture, facial lines, and the crispness of the torch and leaves on the reverse. Collectors often use these fine details to grade the coin's quality and determine whether it qualifies as a full torch specimen. Proof versions of the dime were not made at the Philadelphia Mint in 1984, but rather at the San Francisco Mint, which struck special mirror-like proof coins for collectors. The 1984p is strictly a circulation strike coin, but uncirculated examples from mint sets can display sharp details and attractive luster. These coins were sealed in U.S. mint sets sold directly to collectors and often survive in excellent condition because they were never released for everyday use. Over the decades, the Roosevelt dime series has continued without interruption, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The design honors Roosevelt's work in founding the March of Dimes, an organization that helped combat polio, a disease he personally battled. This humanitarian connection adds a deep layer of meaning to every Roosevelt dime, including the 1984p issue. It's more than just a small coin. It's a symbol of public service, health advocacy, and resilience. Scratches and reduced luster. Collectors who desire investment-quality specimens look for coins stored in protective holders or certified by professional grading companies, such as PGS or NGC, and the possibility of discovering rare errors or exceptional strikes. Every dime has traveled countless hands and played a small role in the nation's daily commerce. Yet when examined closely, each carries a legacy of an American president who reshaped the country's history. The 1984p dime may be ordinary in appearance, but in its fine details, composition, and story, it reflects the broader journey of American coinage, connecting past and present through a simple yet enduring design that continues to shine, even after decades of circulation. Despite being produced in massive numbers, the 1984p dime holds value to collectors due to its place within the Roosevelt dime series, which is frequently collected by date and mint mark, completing a set that includes both Philadelphia and Denver details. Magnification, professional grading services, and careful observation of luster, strike quality, and surface preservation to assess the true value of each coin. The 1999p Roosevelt dime 10-cent coin was minted at the United States Mint's Philadelphia facility, denoted by the P Mint mark, in the year 1999. According to authoritative sources, the mintage of the 1999p clad regular strike is 2,164,000,000 coins. The coin is part of the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946. Designer is John R. Cynic, he designed the Roosevelt dime obverse and reverse of the series. Composition: clad coin with outer layers of 75% copper/25% nickel, cupronickel, over pure copper core. Diameter: 17.90 millimeters. Weight: 2.27 g. Edge: reeded. Obverse design: portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left year 1999, mint Mark P. On some coins, position depends on strike. Reverse design, torch in center, olive branch at left, oak branch at right, symbolizing liberty, peace, strength. These design elements are standard for Roosevelt dimes since 1946. Because the mintage is in the billions, this particular coin is very common in circulation and in mint state uncirculated. Condition. While the coin itself is a common circulation issue, there's interesting context worth including in a deeper narrative. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946 to honor President Roosevelt, who had died in 1945. The design by John R. Sinek replaced a previous Mercury dime. By 1999, the production of clad dimes for circulation was routine. The 1999p was part of large volume minting to meet everyday demand. The very high mintage, over 2 billion, underscores that it was not issued as a special commemorative or low mintage variant. Because it is so common, its numismatic value in typical circulating condition is essentially face value plus a small premium only in well-preserved states. This offers an interesting contrast in coin collecting. Very high production year versus rare key dates of low mintage. In the coin collecting world, condition grade plays a huge role in value. For a common coin like the 1999p dime, here are key points. Circulated condition. If the coin has seen everyday use handling where scratches loss of luster, it will typically be worth only modestly above its face 10-cent value. For example, the NGC price guide shows circulated condition coin value for this issue in the range of US 15 cents to US 35 cents in typical grades. Uncirculated/mint state MS condition, coins that were never used in circulation, retaining original mint luster full, the value will be very close to the coin's face value. Thus, unless the coin is in exceptional condition or has a rare error/variety, it is not a high-value coin in the sense of rare key date coins. How common and accessible this coin is, and what they should watch for if they think they might have something rarer. Errors, varieties, and special interest items. Although the standard strike 1999p Roosevelt dime is common, there are special variants and mint error coins associated with the date/mint that are of interest to collectors. These are less common and often command higher premiums if well documented. Some points. Error coins. Instances such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing clad layer, double strikes, wrong planchet, die breaks, etc. appear in online auction listings. For example, there are listings for a 1999p 10C missing its clad error coin that weighs 2.15 G versus standard 2.27 G and trades for higher values. Denver and S. San Francisco proof. The 1999 S proof dimes, especially silver proof, are separate collecting items. The huge difference is that the P and D issues are normal circulation clad coins. For the standard 1999p, there are major varieties listed by PCGS, for example, 1999p10C and 1999p10CFB, full bands, where the FB designation refers to full bands on the reverse. Full bands on the Roosevelt dime reverse is a known collector attribute, the horizontal bands on the fasces. On the reverse design used from 1946 to 1964 are not applicable to Roosevelt dime. That was Mercury dime. But for Roosevelt dime, the comparable attribute is full detail on the torch, olive, and oak branches, which sometimes is described by collectors as full detail or high relief strike. In your script, you can explain what to look for: sharpness of detail, strong rim, full luster, minimal marks. Because error coins are often irregular and may require authentication by a reputable grading service, you can instruct your audience to look for credible documentation before paying premium prices, which the 1999p lacks in that sense. However, being common does not mean worthless. There is still collecting value, especially for completing date and mint sets, and still room to find high-grade/unblemished examples or rare error forms. So for a coin hunter audience, emphasize that even common coins are worth inspection. Since you are creating long-form content and likely appealing to viewers who range from novices to intermediate collectors, here are some useful strategic points you could include. Check condition before dismissing. Even if the coin is common, a high-grade example, MS-65, MS-66, or one with strong strike and good luster is more desirable and may command a higher price. Encourage viewers to use a loupe, proper lighting, and compare to reference images, and contrast with rare errors for which, and some errors are common enough that they don't carry huge premiums. Provide realistic expectation. Given your interest in long-form content, e.g., 20-minute scripts about coins, here's an example narrative flow you could use for the 1999 P. Roosevelt dime. 1. Intro and historical context. Introduce the Roosevelt dime series. Its origin 1946. Why Roosevelt was honored. Jump to 1999. What was happening at the U.S. Mint. How coin introduction in the late 1990s was high-volume, normal circulation issues. Introduce the 1999 P. Roosevelt dime as a specific coin under focus. Specifications and production. Provide the technical details: mintage, composition, weight, diameter, designer, grading, and what to look for. To look for, e.g., copper core exposed, odd weight, misaligned design. Explain that while the base coin is common, rare errors can have value of $100 plus or more, depending on rarity and condition. Suggest how beginners can use this coin to fill sets or as an accessible item in their collection. Provide storage/preservation advice. Roosevelt dime is everyday currency coin, but still interesting for collectors because condition and errors create incremental value differences. P. Roosevelt dime is a mainstream, widely circulated, high mintage coin. For most people, it holds sentimental collector set value rather than big investment value. That said, you can still find high-grade examples or error/variety specimens that break above the norm. For your video audience, especially coin enthusiasts from Pakistan and other countries, and globally emphasize that even common coins deserve a second look, and the fun is in the hunt, inspection, and understanding of what makes a coin special beyond just a date. If you ever come across these coins in your pocket change, take a closer look. You might be holding a small piece of history, or even a rare variety worth far more than 10 cents. Keep them safe, handle them carefully, and always check for the details that make each dime unique. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the 1967, 1976, 1984 P, and 1999 P dimes, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other coin lovers. Your support helps keep the hobby of coin collecting alive and growing. Every coin has a story, and every story deserves to be told. See you in the next video.